fell across the land, leading some to believe that the world was ending, that our time here was over, that there was nothing left for us but darkness, fear, and ruin. And also there was an eclipse. Fear and ruin. And also there was an eclipse. Fell across the land. So there was an eclipse. Darkness, fear, and ruin. Night fell across the land. Fell across the land. Night fell across the land. And also there was an eclipse. Night fell across the land. Darkness, fear, and ruin. But darkness, fear, and ruin. So there was an eclipse.
Hello friends, welcome to Saturday evening's posted mostly weekly broken news with your host, Trevor Stewart. You're welcome.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Weekly Broken News Live, where anything can happen. With me, your host, Trevor Stewart. And I'd like to remind you that this is not a news show and this is not a news show. I am not a journalist, and all the views expressed herein are 100% correct and verifiable as opinions. So, this evening, let's start with this. We here have decided not to cover the ongoing legal battle with the former president at this time, as we feel like it's just too ridiculous for us to cover. We could easily just repeat all the words of the lawyers and the unfortunate person themselves. I dare not class him in with men because that would be an insult to men everywhere. And, those would be the jokes. But we feel like you, our dear friends, deserve our best efforts. Well, at least a good hard try. Okay, some effort. I mean, you notice we went with Weekly Broken News Live this week so that I don't have to do any editing. 'Cause... yeah. Anyway, let us move along to our first story, although not a headline, something we've just decided to cover. See, Boeing has suffered more setbacks recently now with its 737 MAX 9 instead of the MAX 8, where they were having problems before. At least this time, though, the problem isn't with the nut behind the stick. It's with the bolts in the bore. I mean, the bolts in the door. Sorry about that. The MAX 9s have been grounded by both the companies that use them after a thorough searching. Loose nuts were found in the door panels that may have led to the forced landing of the planes. I personally hate when loose nuts force a premature return to the hangar. I almost feel bad about that joke. So our first actual headline this week, from People magazine, former GOP congresswoman caught stealing food photos from the internet and passing them off as her own. Mayora Flores, who is running to reclaim her former Texas congressional seat, has described herself as a proud Latina who knows how to cook. Now she's enmeshed in a scandal dubbed Grubgate. They'll dub anything a gate these days. Mayara Flores was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 2022 to 2023, making history as the first Mexican-born member of the House before being voted out after one term. Miss Flores was elected due to the special circumstances of a leaving representative. Given the multiple call-outs for lying about cooking in Texas, Ms. Flores' chances of being reelected may be, well, kind of like a Texas gas station attendant. Let's call him slim. Moving right along and as quickly as possible to rawstory.com. Marjorie Taylor Greene personally fined for election violations. And here we go on the MTG stories. The FEC has released documentation on their investigation into alleged fraud, fining Greene for $12,000 for violating Federal Election Campaign Act. Appearing in and sharing an ad for/produced by Stop Socialism Now PAC. Quote, Greene's lawyers argued that she did not violate federal election law by soliciting funds on behalf of the super PAC. Told the FEC the ad was like a candidate attending a PAC fundraiser in which she made an appearance, gave general remarks of support, and left the event before others solicited contributions for the PAC. We are relying heavily on the inverted commas in this one. In more MT Greene related news, TheHill.com reports Greene reacts after Florida resort attempts to cancel January 6th book event. They lost. It's a very declarative headline. The venue was not aware that it had been booked for a signing of a book celebrating the events of 1-6-21. No need to share the title of that thing with letters. And canceled the event. Sadly, the event was able to be held at another location. Moving along to something from the Washington Post. Google location data was used to find January 6th rioters. It's disappearing. Dun dun dun. Lots to unpack in this one. Definitely read the complete article for yourselves. The highlights, though, are that a geofence warrant was issued and used to help figure out who was part of the events of 1-6-21. In addition to being used to prosecute participants, by the way, they decided that anyone who deleted the data was admitting culpability. The data is also being used in the federal election subversion case of Herr Trumpets. Google will no longer be storing that data, however. Its usefulness is becoming short-lived and is restructuring how users control that data, so similar uses may soon be less likely. Richard Dick Salgado, Google's director of law enforcement and information security says that the warrants were seen initially as potentially useful in exceptional situations, but quickly, quote, evolved into this routine strategy, unquote, where investigators used even when other techniques were more likely to be effective. In the vast majority of cases, in quotes, this turns out not to be a useful technique. And he said that these warrants can evade oversight, since the government can just withdraw a warrant if the provider objects, thus avoiding a court ruling. Now, as I go through this is a case of, to me at least, good for the goose is good for the gander. Or, more precisely, an inverse case of good for the goose is good for the gander. This is a case of bad for the goose, bad for the gander. No matter which side politically you fall on, these warrants seem to me to be dangerous. Now, don't get me wrong, I like that they're being used to convict seditionists, but could they not also be turned around and used on anti-seditionists? If, say, some sort of a seditionist were to come to power in the next election. And this, my friends, is why we must remember to vote in every election. Every 2 years for most of the country, every year here in Virginia. And moving right along to something from the Huffington Post. CNN host skewers Republicans with their own words in segment on Jan 6 reality. Phil Mattingly, CNN anchor, quote, "Tomorrow will mark 3 years since thousands of Americans lied to by the President of the United States and their elected representatives perpetrated an assault on the building that has come to symbolize democracy across the globe. The men and women who work on its grounds. That's not an opinion. It's not an interpretation. It's not one side of a debate. It's an unequivocal, demonstrable fact." Unquote. Well, that probably rounds it out for that topic for us. And we will take a brief moment to restart our theme and move along to catching up with chat for just a moment. Remember, this is live, so I'm trying to make this work. Kat says, "I didn't write it. I don't feel bad at all." I'm not sure what that was in relation to, but that's okay. Kat says, "I will note he used Green's own words against her in that broadcast." And moving along. On to our next segment. An old favorite here. An old favorite here. Escaped animals or Ark on the Lam. From live broadcast. Anything can happen. From WION.com, unusually large alligator-like new species found in Mexico. From the article, quote, scientists have found an unusually large, scaly animal similar to an alligator in the treetops of southern Mexico. It turned out to be a new species which has avoided detection by hiding in foliage. Unquote. Did anyone have tree gators for their 2024 bingo card? How about a Connect 4 spot for overly frozen falling lizards? Remember when it hailed frozen geckos in Florida? That was funny. Unless you tried to take a couple of those geckos home for supper and they thawed in your car. That was even funnier. No? Okay, how about this? How about I start that again? Masked manifest many modern models mentioned, materialized or mocked momentarily must mean mind-bending, momentously major magic meanders midst the mists of millennia. And moving along, before I ruin that take, from the Limited Times, long-necked duckbill and star name. This is the new species of giant dinosaur found in Nikwork. After 5+ years of painstaking work, a new dinosaur with tailbones that are somewhat star-shaped has been brought to light. Cytosaura mary had hollow bones like a bird, was around 20 meters in length, weighed about 15 tons. ASOC Prod note, now I want to listen to Tennessee Ernie Ford. Well, some people say a man is made out of mud. Others say he's made out of muscles and blood. Muscles and blood and skin and bones, with a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. In this case, the company store is Nestor Industries. Moving right along to our next one from CBS 17. Apex goat, pigs found during walk in neighborhood, police say. Apex goat. Not to be confused with Who's That Girl, who is a GOAT at Apex, although she does deny it. Are goats Apex? Oh, the town is named Apex. Right, well, moving along. To quote the article, 2 pigs and a goat decided to take a stroll through the Apex neighborhood. Stop me if you've heard this one before. The trio were walking along streets and stopped to check out some yards around 2 p.m. Saturday in a community in northwest Apex. Well, according to the Apex Police Department. I tell you, it's a real zoo in Apex on a Saturday night. A petting zoo. And on to our next segment, some more human news. From CNN, Navajo Nation's objection to landing human remains on the moon prompts last-minute White House meeting. Navajo Nation President Boo Nygren, I'm very sorry, sir. I have just completely destroyed your name. Bu Nigren. Please let me know if I got that horribly wrong. Quote, the moon holds a sacred place in Navajo cosmology. The suggestion of transforming it into a resting place for human remains is deeply disturbing and unacceptable to our people and many other tribal nations, unquote. Celestis and Elysium Space are the companies running the private mission to provide lunar burials. Celestis CEO Charles Schaefer had this to say, quote, we are aware of the concerns expressed by Mr. Nigren, but do not find them substantive, unquote. Nigren went on to cite that the Earth has plenty of memorials and remains that aren't considered desecration, and thus totally missing the point. I personally kind of agree with Mr. Nigren. I mean, we need to stop outsourcing our garbage. We need to learn how to deal with our own trash here. And moving along to something from the Nebraska Examiner. Lincoln Native American protesters resolve lawsuit over wilderness crossing development. Over 26,000 people signed a petition. You know, some days I just can't do anything with them. My teeth just disagree with me. Let's try this again. Over 26,000 people signed a petition protesting building of a development in very close proximity to a well-known and used sweat lodge site. The settlement includes the requirement for training and the retainment of natural green spaces within the development. This seems all right. Seems, of course, didn't look that deeply into it. ASAC Prod note, this story is not recent, but it comes from March of 2019. But it so needs to be shared. ASOC Prod put 3 O's after the S and so here we go. From Smithsonian Magazine. Scientists... Oh, geez. It's cheese. From Smithsonian Magazine. Scientists played music to cheese as it aged. Hip-hop produced the funkiest flavor. The experiment involved 9 wheels of experimental cheese, some transducers, a selection of music from Mozart to Led Zeppelin, and 6 months of patience. In a double-blind taste test, there was a definite difference in not only the musical/non-musical cheeses, but between the different musical cheeses themselves. Double cheeses. The fact that I'm writing non-musical cheese in a sentence makes this story worth sharing. The hip-hop cheese had a stronger scent and flavor than the Mozart cheese, and was somewhat more relaxed and slightly sweeter. ASOC Prod note, insert Skyrim and Shagoroth cheese joke here. I just do what the little diamond tells me to. I follow. And moving along to our commercial break. Now is the time in the show where we bring you a word from our advertisers. And this week's word, on this 13th day of January, is triskaidekaphilia. That's triskaidekaphilia. I am a triskaidekaphiliac. I love the number 13. And now we would like to thank our ASOC prod and co-writer, Kat, who, without her, it would not be possible to do any of this. We have been able to expand our production value due to her taking on responsibilities with the script and various other things. And it has made this so much easier. Enough easier that I've managed to keep going. I'd have had to pack it in by now without her help. So just a very large thank you to our ASOC prod cat. Also our mod. We'd also like to thank our correspondents, our UK correspondent, who's that girl? It's Jess. And our Canada correspondent, Robbie Nova, both of whom are streamers here on Twitch, or over there on Twitch if you're watching this on YouTube. Kat just points out that she had missed that I'd changed the word. Originally, the word from our sponsors was triskaidekaphobia, fear of the number 13, but I don't support that. 13 is my lucky number. Yes, both Who's That Girl and Robbie Nova are here or there on Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. Lots of fun to follow. Lots of fun to interact with. Who's That Girl really is an Apex player. Been looking on how to work that in. Kat points out that 13 is her lucky number as well. Alright. Well then, it's just a lucky day for us today, isn't it? And now, we would like to plug some channel friends who have merch stores. Of course, Who's That Girl has a merch store over on Stream Elements. merch.streamelements.com/Who's That Girl, where you can get a Dante's mug sticker or a Dante's mug. We'd also like to plug our friend Dassen __, who has a store also at Stream Elements, store.streamelements.com/Dassen __, where you can find her Dassen mug, a bust mug, as well as a chum bucket hat, a bucket hat that says chum, and many various other funny and delightful products. Just remember, though, that the first rule of Fist Club is that we don't talk about Fist Club. And we'd also like to plug our friend Akiku Kalde, whose merch is at their store over on streamlabs.com. At streamlabs.com/akikukalde/merch, where you can pick up this delightful Bad Times Do Get Better t-shirt that our friend Nick13 is wearing. Haha! Production value. Oh, did our song end again? Alright. I'm going to figure out how to get that on a loop so that we get background music through the whole thing. Is the background music too loud, by the way? Is it overpowering me at all? Let us not forget to plug our friend, the inimitable Jeffy Millimeter, who has moved his merch to a new activewear brand called Emerald. Quote, 100% the motto is see into the future. The website is emeraldbrandproject.com. And it is worth... well, I slid away from the mic a little. Kat pointed out that I was talking a little quieter than usual. But the music shouldn't be overpowering me anymore. Yes, our friend Jeffy Millimeter, who has their new project brand, Emerald. We are expecting our emerald green long sleeve t-shirt or sweatshirt anytime now. However, we believe that the USPS has mislaid it at a sorting office. And I'm not going to say accidentally, because I have a feeling that I'm still embattled with the USPS. At some point soon, I'm going to have to ride down to the local branch and have another talk with them. They don't want that. I won't get angry. I won't raise my voice. I won't curse. But I will forcefully advocate for myself. Because if they have lost the second package, that's a lot of money I'm out. And that's a mistake happening twice. That affects my professional life. Sorry to get on a rant about USPS. And now, moving on to another person that we would like to thank. And I have asked Kat to try and clip this part because we would like to share this with our friend, the talented digital artist Marina Ion over at Human Tech Art, who we will be working with again soon. Our experience working with her was absolutely delightful. We were able to give her a general idea of what we wanted, and the product she came back with was not only an amazing design, given what we had asked for, because we barely asked for anything, really, but it was also a good piece of artwork. It was both simple and complex. it could be absolutely iconic. Without being overcrowded, there are still details within the entire piece of artwork. Pieces. We got 2 for the price of 1. We feel very lucky about that. There are details within the pieces of artwork that every time I look at it, I find something new. I'm able to continue to learn about the world that she evoked through those pieces of artwork. Also, we've seen her animated emotes, and they are so much fun. So we are looking forward to working with her again. She is findable here on Twitch, over there on Twitch, if you're watching this on YouTube. And on Discord, I believe. We will be putting in links to find her somewhere at some point. Our description box on YouTube is still going to be under construction this week. We hope to have something knocked up for next week in the way of a weekly template. So, Kat, can you clip that? And moving along, we would also like to shout out some very dear friends here on Twitch, or over there on Twitch if you're watching. Our friend Angela, a wonderful human being who does a cozy stream every Wednesday evening, a group cozy stream at that, with Busy Bell and Metamorpheus, where they play. Oh, and sometimes Sleepy Scrubs, by the way, where they play Stardew Valley. And they, this last week, started playing modded Stardew Valley. So we're getting cute farm animals and Janemo cake. Well, cakey Janemos. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It's so much fun to watch. And they are what I call the Busy Bell family, sort of that community that she's built around themselves, is such a welcoming and kind community. Just so warm, that it's just really worth checking them out. That's Busy Bell, Metamorpheus, Sleepy Scrubs, Evie something, and others, and Moosies is in that, who is also a good friend of the channel. And, D'Angela is building a very cozy community around herself as well that is part of the Busy Bell community. And her friend Send Noodles, who we absolutely love here, is part of that community as well. Should definitely go check him out. We would also like to plug our friends Bex Bexy, Baby Groot, Ghoulish Cutie, DJ Lockpick, and the whole Sunday No Pants Raid Train, DJ Lumi242, DJ Jadzia Dax. Always worth checking her out when you've got some time and a Rakhtachina. And of course, we always would love to shout out the amazing Wasabi here on Twitch, or there on Twitch. Wasabi is another good friend of the channel, and just a very cozy person to watch stream. Now, we'd like to shout out a few YouTube friends. as well. Go check out our friends, the talented music producer Pan's Delight and Paula Haunt, another music producer, as well as our friends Alex INTP, a very, very charming person. We like them a lot. A whimsical visual artist and writer under the moniker Mango Pudding on Wattpad. Also, we'd like to shout out our friend Lucy 2001, who is a talented young actress from off the coast of Scotland. And finally, we'd like to thank our friends who are not on these specific sites. Firstly, our dear friend O'Shea of o'shea'sbeautifulthings.com. Go check out some of her beautiful things over at o'shea'sbeautifulthings.com. And we'd like to shout out North Yorkshire's own Jennifer Weston, artist extraordinary and dear lifelong friend. And our ASOC prod wishes to give a shout out to Fritz Fishing on TikTok. I suddenly have an echoish sound. Oh, I know why. How's that? Any better? Our ASOC prod wishes to shout out at Fritz Fishing on TikTok. Good luck working on the knot problem with the leader lines. Last week I made some knot puns. This week I'm not gonna do it. A little bit, but still there. I'm still a little echoey. Well, give me a moment while I check some audio stuff. Check. Check. Huh. Am I still echoing? Did that do anything? Cat, did that help at all? Or did I just completely ruin everything? It was better for a moment, then went back. Interesting. Let me guess, that makes it worse. Does that make it any better? Or did I just turn off all the sound altogether? That works? All right. Long as y'all can hear me. Live recording. Live theater, anything can happen. Interesting. I wonder what I did. I mean, I know what I did, but I don't know what it did. Pardon me. Am I echoey at all now? do that. I should move that. Whoop. All right. All right. Okay. I think I found a setup that works here. All right. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. I'm Mitch Igan, and this is From the Midwest. Hello, friends. I'm Mitch Igan, and from the Midwest to our great northern neighbor to the north, Canada, this is What's Up North, eh? And we're going to start with something from the Associated Press. A push to expand Medicaid has Kansas governor embracing politics and cutting against her brand. From the article, quote, Democratic Governor Laura Kelly is more aggressive and openly political in pushing to expand Medicaid in Kansas as the Republican-controlled legislature prepares to open its annual session. Monday, following 5 years of failed efforts to provide state health coverage to another 150,000 people. Quote, my previous approach, which has always been to try to bring people together and work collaboratively and come up with a consensus and then get good policy on the books, that hasn't worked, Kelly said during a recent interview. Quote, taking a more aggressive approach and to be direct, a more political approach to it might be the answer, she added. We would like to remind her to be careful when strong-arming the GOP. That's when they tend to cry foul and take their toys and go home blubbing. And that was What's Up North. And moving along to one of our more serious segments here. The war on education. We're gonna start and end this segment with something from Daily News Record. Rockingham County School Board votes to temporarily remove list of 57 books. The first school board meeting of the year shows that Rockingham County is off to a resoundingly squelchy and fetid start to 2024 after opening the meeting with what, in one parent's words, was a quote, a bizarre self-absorbed prayer instead of the usual moment of silence. The board moved on to book banning, changes in public participation, adopting the model policy for ensuring privacy, dignity, and respect for all students and parents, and several other things. Among the books banned were Beloved and Schlachthusfünf, or, to most of us, Slaughterhouse-5. Slaughterhouse-5 is still a work, a contemporary classic work. Still contemporary, and in my mind, still a classic. Any reasons for removing them were generally, quote, it made someone uncomfortable to think about these things, unquote. Asak Prod note, I want to go off here, but the parent quote at the end says it all pretty well. According to the article, many community members spoke out against banning books, opening meetings with prayer, prohibiting signs at meetings, and adopting the model policies. Many speakers said they felt that their First Amendment rights were being violated by establishing a religious invocation at the beginning of the meeting. End quote. One Rockingham County resident and parent has allowed us to quote her. Quote, book banning is the lowest form of control and fear. It's done by those who love power and hate free thought and are unable to have complex thought themselves. It takes free thought to discuss the problematic issues that arise in some books and works through them. Some books and work through them. Just because adults lack the courage to talk and sit with the hard things does not mean that they can try to extinguish the courage and intelligence of children. This says a lot about the school board and the terrible legacy they will leave behind, unquote. Annette F. And we agree with Annette. Moving on to segment 6, our final segment for the evening, and that segment I know you all have been waiting for with bated breath. Unfortunately, Kat is having some technical issues, but that's okay. Live broadcast, anything can happen. We are not having that wardrobe malfunction, however. That will not be happening. Moving along to the segment you've all been waiting for. Why Florida, why? That segment that makes us ask that perennial question. Why Florida, why? From the AP News. Nude man nabbed by police after cannonball plunge into giant aquarium at Bass Pro Shop in Alabama. ASOC Prod note, this was broadcast on BBC within hours of it happening. And Alabama is not Florida. But the man crashed his vehicle into the store, stripped, jumped into the aquarium to stand under the waterfall, came out to yell at police, went back in, and then fell and knocked himself out on the concrete floor when climbing out of the aquarium later. If that's not a Florida article, if that man is not Florida man, just visiting Alabama, I don't know who he is. No word at this time if any fish were harmed by these events. And honestly, I didn't know Uncle Randy took a holiday to Alabama. Just goes to show you. You should always be careful when Uncle Randy is leaving Florida. Never know what's going to happen, y'all. Moving along to something from the New York Times. FDA issues first approval for mass drug imports to states from Canada. The agency authorized Florida to purchase medicines directly. Now, I think the most surprising thing about this headline is that Canada is becoming the supplier for Florida. Although, when I think about it, we've seen this trend before, ain't we? Who remembers Beasters? That time that Canadian cannabis covered carpeted even the East Coast? I remember Beasters. Moving on to something from Rolling Stone on MSN.com. A fire in the river. Big sugar and black snow in the Everglades. No, it's not a new collab between the Animals and John Mellencamp, although this would be a fire album. Poor choice of words, Trevor. According to the article, quote, along the rim of Lake Okeechobee, the seasons aren't marked by the temperature or falling leaves, but by the humidity, light, and plumes of ash that blanket this part of Florida come October. Just as the air dries, the wind turns east, and sugarcane farmers set to harvesting the stalks of cane across 500,000 acres in Florida. But before the stalks are cut, growers set fire to their crops. Burning is an easy way to eliminate the outer leaves of sugar cane and reduce costs. Every year from October until May, sometimes until June, the smoke haunts residents. Some claim it's killing them. Others write it off as a seasonal nuisance. But all the residents in towns strung along the lake's southern edge know the resulting ash as black snow. End quote. Well, I guess that's one way for Florida to see snow. Okeechobee October, the first single from Big Sugar and Black Snow, the collaborative album by John Mellencamp and the Animals. I'd buy that. Well, thank you for joining us, friends. I am, have been, and hopefully will be again in the future, your host, Trevor Stewart. And as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA double deuces. I'm out, y'all.